I didn't do my test. Here, can you hear this?
We have to go back now.
She's right. I really don't know how much more right she has to
Great.
be.
Okay.
Here we go. Chris Gelsler here with
Matt Howell.
This week on the first run, we're going to discuss the latest from writer-director Alex Garland, Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman, along with the latest Jason Bateman comedy, Game Night, Matt. And of course, it's going to be our big Oscars preview. We're going to tell you not only who's going to win, but you know what? Who should win? And Matt, do you think I'm going to keep the streak alive? I have a legendary run when it comes to choosing their Oscar picks. I've usually done exceptionally well, and we'll see if 2018 is no different. But before we start everything off, here's a clip from Annihilation.
We have to go back. We have to go back now.
She's right. I really don't know how much more right she has to be.
Okay. And I agree with you. We should go back.
Good. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, so the three of us can just
Hold
pack
on a
up
minute. Hold on. We should go back, yes, but it took us, 6 days to get here? And the coast is 2 days away. You're saying that we get out by going deeper in? Yeah, if you like, yeah.
Like? No, I don't like. This isn't some tactic to get us to the lighthouse, is it?
I believe that the coast is the best route out. Okay?
All right, Matt. So Natalie Portman plays Lena. She's a professor of cellular biology, and she's married to a gentleman in the military. In fact, that's where they met, in the military, which is, I think, kind of nice. So he's been missing, Matt, for about a year. He's assumed killed in action. And then one day he shows up. And Natalie's trying to figure out what's going on, where you been, how'd you get home, what's going on, dog? And then he starts having some kind of issues. He falls ill. They call an ambulance, and as they're away to the hospital, the man shows up. The feds show, and they take him and her. She gets brought to Maine. It's Maine, right? I don't even remember now at this point.
I don't know. I think it was. I don't know. It looked like southern United States to me. It looked like Gulf Coast.
I think that's insane. So anyway, they get brought to a place, and there's this thing, Matt, this shimmer, if you will. And it's some kind of barrier that people have been going into and not coming back from, except for Natalie's husband. And now she leads a team of some people, some young women, and they go in to find out what's going on and all the crazy stuff that happens from there. Matt, you and I are big fans of the sci-fi genre, especially when it gets a little heady.
It is.
I think we both enjoyed the Blade Runner 2049. Amongst other things in the past. So how do you feel about Annihilation? Does Alex Garland have another hit in his hands? Let's remember now, he has not only given us Ex Machina, which we both really enjoyed, but he also wrote 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Never Let Me Go, Dread, and now he's directed Ex Machina and Annihilation. So is this another great film by Garland? Is this some smart sci-fi, or is this just an unmitigated mess?
Okay. It is a very good film. And this is sci-fi that I think we appreciate, the kind of cerebral sci-fi, not based off of, an existing property, a la something like your Arrivals or your Ex Machinas. Do I think it reaches the heights of Ex Machina? No.
It's based on a book, though, right? So
it is. It is based on a book by Jeff Vandermeer, who's a pretty famous author of speculative fiction and just kind of genre fiction in general. He's got some really weird books. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I don't know if it's great, though.
Interesting. Well, Matt, I got to tell you, when I felt I now have the first film to go on the board
Really?
So if you look at our Instagram account, you can see I tracked all the really great films that I saw for 2017, and I think I have my first one for 2018. I absolutely loved Annihilation. I thought not only was it thought-provoking, Matt, but it was absolutely terrifying. I love Garland's ambiguity, right? It's the film doesn't really every question it poses, it kind of gives you an answer, but even then after that, the answers maybe aren't quite as clear. So nothing is truly straightforward in this film. And the more I thought about it, the more I started wondering, Matt, is I'm wondering how much of this is even true, relatively speaking. So the framing device of the film is that Natalie Portman is being interviewed by some people,
Right.
and the film cuts back and forth through time, right? And it shows what she's relaying a story of what happened to everybody. And I guess it's a bit of a spoiler, right? But it's, you know what? It's like in the first 15 minutes of the film that we get this. So
Sure.
So I'm wondering though how reliable a narrator she is. I'm wondering if maybe nothing happens as the way she decides to tell it. From what I understand, the original ending of the film is a little bit different. There is a little more ambiguity as to who shows up at the end.
Okay.
And also, I guess the original ending of the film was much more alien invasion-y.
Okay.
The film ends with a bunch of new meteorites crashing into the Earth, and I guess they cut that too. I thought that was a little too on the nose.
Okay.
But I felt this was kind of a spiritual cousin to Under the Skin, the Scarlett Johansson film, at least aesthetically, right?
Yeah.
You have the alien maybe sort of thing. The music I felt was kind of similar. The way even it's shot is kind of dark and gothic at times. I thought kind of felt. I just feel maybe it'd be a good double feature to watch this with Under the Skin. If you're not familiar, it's a fantastic little sci-fi film with Scarlett Johansson where she plays an alien that comes to mate with people and then just kind of
she's eating them. She's eating them is basically what she's doing.
Yeah, so it's weird and creepy, and I think very ambiguous and thought-provoking, and maybe confusing as well. But I think Garland does a good job. I really felt there's kind of like a Apocalypse Now meets Cronenberg, because we got your Colonel Kurtz going crazy people, right? That's I think is that's Gina Rodriguez, and then I don't know, Matt. I saw this Tuesday night, and it just been sticking with me, and I haven't gotten out of my head. There's some really fascinating visuals in this thing, really interesting ideas, really some gorgeous Cronenberg bodily horror if you're into that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was fantastic from start to finish. So clearly you didn't, though. What were some of your issues?
No, I didn't think it was. Honestly, I may have undersold this. I mean, I agree with you. It's the best film I've seen so far of 2018. I did really enjoy it. I just didn't think it was up to par on the same level as Ex Machina was. I don't know if it's destined to become as much of a classic. I mean, we've even talked a lot about Arrival last year, and I think we both really enjoyed Arrival. But it'll be interesting to see how much staying power Arrival has, and it seems like it's already lost a little bit of steam. And I'm thinking the same thing is going to happen with this. But I think it's a great movie. I think it's a really, really good film. But to your point, I guess in my opinion, this also has a lot to do. It seems like it has a lot of parallels with Invasions of the Body Snatchers kind of thing. You know, so I'm thinking the way I interpreted it was that the story is true up to a point, in the sense that you know, they go, again, spoiler alert, guys, they do go and they see what she says happened at the end of the story actually happened, or at least a version of it actually happened, because they can see the evidence of it having happened, right? So we know that happened to some extent. What I think, it was either one of two things. Either she was replaced at the end and something else came out of there with her memories and just told them the story up to the point where it was true. Or, you know, the fact that she had already identified that she herself had been infected and was being, you know, influenced by the prism or the shimmer, that it was basically, it had changed her enough or had altered her enough where it didn't really need a duplicate in the same way that it did for her husband.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got too. Is that is what happened, but
Right.
I don't know. But also too, I don't wanna lose track of the horror of this thing. There are some
Mhm.
truly terrifying moments in this thing. The bear
Oh yeah, that was creepy.
was I just if you're a fan of just those kind of classic horror thrills and monsters, and I would really rank that bear up there. It reminded me a little bit of The Thing.
Yeah.
Not obviously not the same kind of monster, but still. So what's happening is all the creatures and plant life and everything is mutating. It's
Mhm.
changing, right? So it's well, let's not get too deep into it. But this bear that is stalking them, it was just absolutely terrifying. It
Mhm.
really was on the edge of my seat with every time they would have an encounter with this thing.
Yeah.
And also too, I want to stress for people in regards to violence and gore, this thing it's intense.
Mhm.
All right, so just keep that in mind. I think this has got to be rated R because of violence and profanity. It has to be. I can't find it anywhere, but
No, it is.
that's
It
good.
is.
It's there we go. Yeah, R, violence, bloody images, language, and some sexuality. I guess so.
A little
Either
bit.
way, it's still it's a hard R for me when it comes to the gore. So just prepare yourself for that.
But it's not like a gratuitous gore. It's almost like a matter of fact gore, which is even makes it even more disturbing, I think. On
Yeah,
some level.
it's the Gasparno school where everything
Yeah.
is very realistic.
Yeah.
Is what I think makes it so disturbing and unsettling. Still, what else I wanted to mention to you? Natalie Portman. I think she's just fantastic work in this thing. I think one of the reasons why the film is so interesting is that we're also on this emotional journey with her in regards to her trying to find her husband or at least find a cure for what's wrong with him potentially. And then we get little reveals about her, and maybe she's not as perfect as we all maybe thought she was as things
Right.
progress. Or
Right.
I mean, there's just a lot of she has a lot of nice little emotional moments as well, which helps propel the film, not with the science fiction and horror elements to it. Just really, I think a fantastic job of tonal balance by Garland on this thing. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about tone in the next film, Great Game Night, as well. But I'm telling you, man, I'm coming down with an A on this thing. I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay. I'm not far off. I'm gonna give it an A minus. I don't think it's quite as solid as Alex Garland's other work, and I think that's really where I was coming from. But it is a fantastic sci-fi film, and just because it's so good and it's original, this thing is going to do nothing, and it's going to languish and disappear out of theaters very quickly.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because this thing is now a couple things. I know it seems to be a split audience-wise. Some people really like it, and other people can't stand it. I'm assuming because it's a little ambiguous and a little
Right.
tough to wrap your head around at times. But this thing is not performing very well at all, which is a damn shame. Because first off, you want to see this in the theater, all right? You want the biggest, loudest sound system possible to check this in. I was disappointed. I was really hoping to get some screenings in the Dolby Theater where I am, but of course it's all Black Panther all the time,
right?
Which is fine.
Now we're irritated at Black Panther a little bit. We're a little bit irritated at you, Black Panther. You had your couple weekends. Let's give it to Natalie Portman, and you come back around, okay?
Just for the experience to have seen this in that kind of just the HDR projection, right, and the incredible sound. But still, I saw it in a great theater, but it demands to be seen in the theater, I think.
Yeah.
And this stuff needs to be supported. I know we talk about this a lot, but I'm telling you, man, you want to be able to see this kind of stuff in the theater. Sunshine, another film he wrote, Danny Boyle directed, almost nobody saw. Fantastic science fiction film.
Yeah.
And probably the best performance by our boy Chris Evans he's ever churned out. If you haven't seen Sunshine, well worth your time. Another one too, Never Let Me Go, with Andrew Garfield and Carey Mulligan. Fantastic film. Matt, have you ever seen Never Let Me Go?
Oh yeah, it's a tearjerker. It's a heartbreaker of a sci-fi film. That's a rough one.
Yeah, I really love that one though too. Yeah. So again, please, people, go out and support. Don't see Black Panther for the third time. Just commit to Coogler and Bozeman that you're going to buy it on Blu-ray. That's in 4K. That's fine. I'll do that. I commit today to buy Black Panther on 4K. Now, let's everybody go see Annihilation, please, and give this film the viewing it deserves.
I know. And I think that's part of what depressed me about it, because I just knew that this is going to be Blade Runner 2049 all over again. It's a smart, ambiguous sci-fi film that somebody put a lot of thought and craft into. It makes you kind of work as an audience. It's gorgeous to watch. The acting is fantastic, and nobody's going to go see this thing. I mean, Arrival was a bit of an anomaly, but it wasn't like a huge hit. It wasn't a massive hit, but it was a decent hit. I don't know. I just get frustrated with this stuff. It's like, I get nervous that we're not going to get these type of films anymore because nobody goes and sees them.
Well, Paramount chickened out on the international distribution. Did you hear about that? They ended up dumping it off to Netflix.
Oh, really?
So if you live in another country outside of the States, you're not going to be able to see this in the theater, which is a real shame. I'm telling you, man. It's really disappointing when I read that. So, all right. That's Annihilation. Shoot us an email if you've had a chance to check it out. We'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right. So, Matt, what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday? That's going to be March 6th. Well, I think the big release. Actually, let me preface that there's a lot of big films coming out on Blu-ray this week. But one of the big ones for me is going to be, and for you, is Thor Ragnarok. Includes a digibook from Target, a steelbook from Best Buy. Includes a director's introduction, deleted and extended scenes, gag reel. Here's what I thought you might be interested in. 8-bit scenes. Final bridge battle on the Sakaar spaceship battle. Dive into the climactic sequences presented in the retro video game format.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. Director's commentary, and then some other additional deleted scenes that are digital exclusives. Another big film this last year was Lady Bird being released. Includes audio commentary by Greta Gerwig, and then a Realizing Lady Bird featurette. Matt, something I'm really excited about is The Dark Crystal. Getting released on Blu-ray and 4K. Includes a brand new 4K restoration of the film from the original camera negative. An all-new featurette, The Myth, Magic, and Henson Legacy. Go behind the scenes of the iconic film with stories from Lisa Henson and Toby Froud. Deleted scenes, commentary with Brian Froud, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I haven't seen The Dark Crystal, Matt, in a very long time. Part of me is nervous it doesn't hold up as much. I remember it freaked me out and scared me as a kid. It's actually getting a limited theatrical re-release as well. Fathom Events is doing like a 2-night thing where you can go see it in the theater. Yeah,
it's interesting. So there was a time, it's people with kids will know that kids get really into movies, and there was, for some reason, my daughter latched on to The Dark Crystal for like a good 3 months, and we just watched it all the time. And I think it's got some parts of it that haven't aged particularly well, and some of it's kind of annoying with some of the voices and stuff. But you know what? It's still pretty good. It's still pretty good.
Interesting. Good pick then. All right, and then what else we got coming out? Scream Factor's giving us The Strangers just in time for the sequel that's coming out, I think, in a couple weeks. Includes a new 2K remaster of both the theatrical and unrated versions of the film, and a bunch of new featurettes on the making of. And then finally, Matt, your straight to DVD pick of the week. I'm going with Scorched Earth. There's something about Gina Carano that I enjoy. I don't know if it's because her limited
I wonder what it is. Yeah.
But she still has a presence on the screen that I enjoy. Sure. I think that's mostly because of Soderbergh making that action film with her a few years ago. Haywire. Yeah. That was it. So I enjoyed that one. So she's got a new film out called Scorched Earth. She's bringing men to justice. It's her only reward. The film is set in the future, Matt, after the planet has suffered an environmental collapse. The air became dangerous to breathe, the water became toxic, and billions of people died. Generations later, mankind has finally reestablished a rudimentary society in which bounty hunters roam the wasteland in search of wanted eco-criminals. Bounty hunter Attica Gage is faced with the bounty of a lifetime, bringing down the ruthless outlaw Thomas Jackson. Gage infiltrates Jackson's gang, and everything is going according to plan until she meets a slave girl who reminds her of her dead sister. With her loyalty to only herself now tested, Gage learns that there may be more to life than just survival. That's Scorched Earth.
Scorched Earth.
What should we be streaming this week?
All right, so one of our favorite films of 2017, first run favorite, is now available on Amazon Prime. I'm talking about Logan Lucky. Speaking of Steven Soderbergh, his return to film stars Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, and Daniel Craig as a group of kind of bumbling Southern thieves who decide that they're going to rob a racetrack on the day of a big race. I think it's Charlotte Motor Speedway. Is that correct?
I believe. I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's kind of got that whole kind of humor, got the heist aspects that everybody loves. The performances by Driver and Tatum and especially Daniel Craig are a lot of fun to watch. So definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it. Logan Lucky, good little small film from last year.
Yeah, definitely. We both really enjoyed that one. A nice little, always say like a minor comeback for Soderbergh.
Sure.
He's got the new film coming out, Unsane, which he shot on an iPhone, which I am a little nervous about, if I'm going to be honest. But we'll see. Yeah. There's one thing I wanted to bring up too, Matt, before we move on. Your boy Joss Whedon has left the Batgirl project.
No.
The reason being, he just couldn't come up with a story. He was having trouble finding a story.
Okay.
Matt, I think that is complete and utter BS. What do you think?
So it's BS in the sense that it's, how can you not come up with a story for Batgirl because there's plenty of material to go for, or that he's just making up an excuse and he just doesn't want to deal with the WB and their bumbling?
Combination of both. He is off the project because of the stuff that's come out about him and the whole Me Too movement.
Sure.
And it's more of a film that may be better suited to have a female director with a female star. I think maybe is the better place to go at this point. I got to tell you, the time is ripe for a Batgirl film, especially if it's done right. And given the stuff that he's tangentially, I guess, dealing with, I think they more just said, why don't you bow out gracefully? And we'll see what happens. And so he says, yeah, you know what? I can't come up with a story. Because I don't believe that for a heartbeat.
No.
I don't.
You don't think so? Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think if Joss Whedon, comic book nerd, especially with the kind of renaissance of after I don't even know where they are in DC Comics. They kind of reboot everything every few years anyway. But, New 52 Batgirl, was a big hit. So I don't know. I think they had plenty of stuff to go with. But if that's what he wants to say, that's what he wants to say. I will give the man his due to bow out and disappear into the shadows for a little while to deal with whatever he's got to deal with.
Fair enough. I read too that Marvel's doing another reboot. It's a soft reboot, I guess, but they're rebooting again.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be to get off on a little comic book nerd tangent here. I'm getting really irritated at both the companies because they seem to just reset everything after every couple of years. There was the last one was for Marvel was, what was it? Was it Secret Wars? It was something, it was Secret Invasion, some shit like that. I don't know. But it was, I think they're bringing back the Infinity Stones again and they're going to redo everything.
Oh, well, they have to because the movie's coming out, right? I assume so. Yeah. I actually bought some comics recently. I bought the Doomsday Clock. I've got 3 issues so far. I haven't read one.
Okay.
But, that's DC's working to integrate the Alan Moore Watchmen universe into DC proper.
Right.
We'll see what it gets. Jeff Johns, though, wrote it, and Gary Frank is doing the art. I like both their work, so we'll see.
All right.
But 3 issues in, and I haven't cracked open one yet.
Well, I'm glad you're really on top of these things because, as we all know, reading a single issue of a comic is a big commitment. It's not like it can't be done in 10 minutes.
It takes me a lot of time. I got to sound that every word. All right, man. Let's go ahead and move on. Why don't we talk a little bit about game night? But first, here's a clip.
Harry. Goodness. To what do Bastion and I owe the pleasure?
Well, we were all just talking, and we realized we haven't had a game night in ages, just the 7 of us.
So, I thought you were going to your brother's house. I never said that.
Come on, Dear Bear, live a little. It's the weekend.
We were just saying how you were always better at games than Debbie was.
Yeah. Well, thank you not to besmirch my ex-wife. That woman is an angel.
Oh, yeah, she was much better at games than you.
I will admit I have eagerly awaited a visit such as this.
Where'd he go?
Do we follow him?
It seems like it.
Ryan, you go first.
I'm scared.
All right, Matt. So that's a clip from Game Night. You have Jason Bateman, who's basically he's like the friendly guy, comedy MVP guy, right? I really can't think of anybody else who fits this role. He's kind of like if Tom Hanks had just stuck doing Splash, right, for the rest of his life. That's what Bateman's doing. Though I guess he did that show, Ozarks? Is that which one is that? One where he gets the drug? stuff?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but yes, Ozark.
I haven't either, so I guess it's supposed to be a little darker. But Bateman and then Rachel McAdams play a couple who just have a game night. But Bateman's dealing with issues where he's got some jealousy of his brother Brooks, who's played by Kyle Chandler, who seems to have it all. You know, kind of like the interplay between me and Matt, where he's constantly kind of feeling that he'd rather be me, which is difficult. I know it's a lot to live with. But then, of course, what happens is, so they set up a real game night, right, where they're going to fake a kidnapping, and then the game is to figure out who gets kidnapped and how to find them, and whoever wins a Stingray, which was Bateman's dream car. But Matt, it goes horribly wrong because somebody actually does kidnap Kyle Chandler, Brooks, his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to save him, and then hilarity ensues. I want to just make one statement, and I hope to get your backup on this.
Yeah.
I'm just say Jesse Plemons is a national treasure.
Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing. Jesse Plemons is the MVP of this film. He is so delightfully creepy in a hilarious, cringy way. It is amazing watching him on screen.
Yeah, every time he would show up, I'd get all excited. I mean, if you're not familiar with Jesse Plemons, he was fantastic in the last couple seasons of Breaking Bad. He played the guy who ran. He was part of the what do you call him?
The white supremacist.
Guys. Sorry?
Yeah, he was the white supremacist, the young white supremacist who started learning about making the meth and using the whole bug exterminator tent thing.
Right. He's able to just kind of give this dead-eyed look at you that is just terrifying and endearing all at the same time. I can't quite wrap my head around it. Anyway, so he plays the cop that ends up potentially saving the day, but then maybe not. Just a lot of craziness and hilarity ensues, Matt. So we always ask a big question with the comedies. Did it make you laugh, Matt? What do you think?
Yeah, it did. This is actually this is a pretty solid little raunchy comedy. It's more on the violence spectrum of the raunch, I guess, but and it does have that kind of that unfortunate failing where the plot device, they have to kind of make it serious for a little while and it starts to drag a little bit there. But for the most part, I thought it was really funny. I thought Rachel McAdams was really good. We talked about Jesse Plemons and Jason Bateman. And you know what? I am also a big fan of Lamorne Morris, who is he played Winston on New Girl. And he plays one of the longtime friends in this. I forget the character's name, but he's really good too. So I mean, I think everybody puts in some good, pretty solid, funny performances. And Kyle Chandler is delightfully smarmy. Is at his smarmiest best, which is also a treat to watch.
Yeah, for me, I think the MVPs next to Plemons would be Lamorne Morris and Kylie Burnbury. The interplay between the two of them is absolutely fantastic. And I just read too that there was a post-credit sequence, Matt. I didn't wait for it, and it's
I didn't
killing me that I didn't.
I didn't do it either.
So supposedly at the end, Debbie, which is Jesse Plemons' estranged spouse, is at a gas station, and she runs into Denzel Washington.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Is it really Denzel, or is it 3 series Denzel?
I think part of the appeal of Morris too is he does a really good Denzel impression, which had me cracking up every time. Yeah. So. I know, I agree. It's a particularly really fun cast, but it is a dark comedy. It gets really violent sometimes.
Yeah,
so you got to kind of be ready and prepared for that. And it takes some interesting turns that I thought I was going to get tired of potentially, but I didn't. I was a little nervous about that. And then tonally too, this is a tough thing to balance because, like you said, it's dark and it's violent at times. But I think it does a pretty good job of embracing its darkness, particularly with the scene where they have to remove the bullet.
Right.
I think that that's a scene that could really go south. Yeah. But I think that Bateman Bateman and McAdams are able to keep light and fun. But I feel like too the film takes place in this kind of crazy alternate reality. We think It Follows is an alternate reality. I feel the same way here because if you really thought about half the things that happen in this film, for some minute they would completely unravel. They wouldn't make an ounce of sense.
Yes.
So, but still. I don't know. I think overall I really enjoyed it. You just gotta have to kind of let yourself go with the film, and then you'll really enjoy it. One of the things too I thought was great was how they would do the establishment shots. Every time they did an establishment shot, it looked like a game piece or a game board or something to that effect, right? So I thought that was a really cool idea. So there you go.
So there you go. Good segue. Very smooth. Yeah, but yeah, I think this is a good contender. I mean, you know what? Comedies are really hit and miss. I mean, to be quite honest with you, we seem to find a really good sci-fi film and some indie gems, and there's usually at least one horror film that we really like. But for the past few years, we really haven't found a comedy that has blown us away. And while I don't say that this will blow you away necessarily, it's actually really solid all the way through, and that is actually more than what we've seen probably in a long time. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Go check it out if you're looking for a date night movie. If your significant other doesn't want to watch your sci-fi or your superhero obsessions or your horror stuff and wants to see something funny for a damn change, then go see this and you'll have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it too. I would give Game Night. I gave it a B-.
Did you? I gave it a full B. I thought it was pretty good.
Good for you. Yeah, no, I think it's enjoyable enough. Like I said, it wasn't a laugh out loud from start to finish, but still, I laughed quite a few times, and it was consistent enough for me to recommend it. I would agree as well.
Yep.
So if you've had a chance to see Game Night, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We would absolutely adore it. Adore your thoughts. Matt, it's go time. All right. It's going to be Oscar previews. We're going to tell you who's going to win, who should win, and then just kind of take a whole bunch of guesses on a bunch of other stuff.
Right.
So let's get into all of that when we get back. But here first, Matt, is a clip that was not nominated for Best Picture, which you told me you were going to watch. So maybe we'll talk about it a little briefly, unless you didn't get a chance to see it. And looking at your face right now, you son of a bitch. Here's a clip from the Florida Project.
Yeah. I got a videotape of the kids illegally entering the utility room.
Don't let guilty, okay? Hey, Scooty. Did you hear what I just said?
I got it. I'm gonna talk to her.
Captain Skin, you're out of here. It's only second week of the summer and there's already been a dead fish in the pool.
We were doing an experiment. We were trying to get it back alive. That wasn't my idea.
And water balloons thrown at tourists. You can't fuck with tourists.
They didn't tip us.
Are you serious?
No.
Oh my God, this is unacceptable. I failed as a mother, Moni. You've disgraced me.
Harley?
Yeah, Mom, you're disgraced.
And I'm going to talk to Ashley, by the way. When your friend puts you in charge of her kid, that kid becomes your responsibility. You ain't taking responsibility. And you got that one too. She's from Futureland, right?
Oh, whatevs. You gotta relax, my man.
You're gonna redo my expense reports with your whatevs? Your kid killed my night. I wanted to watch the ball game. You're gonna pay me for 3 hours that I gotta work later?
Hey guys, pay the man for his 3 hours.
I don't have any money. I don't have any money.
All right, Matt. So that's a clip from the Florida Project, a film you still haven't seen.
Yeah, I just live to disappoint you, Chris, and I was like, man, you know, I could watch this and make Chris happy, but why?
One of the best films of 2017, and you can't be bothered to see it. That's fine.
I know. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Do it.
So, all right. So we're gonna do focus now. Is we're gonna run through the big categories. All right, folks. That's gonna be that's the plan here. I'm gonna tell you right now, as we're talking, I still haven't chosen a best picture.
You still haven't?
Still haven't done it. I can't. I'm torn between what I think the two are going to be and what I want to win. And of course, I think the big one too is a couple of them aren't even nominated, but that's fine. So we're going to talk about leading, supporting roles, direction, and best picture, and then maybe we'll just run down the rest at the end. Matt, so I'll start everything off. I'll give you the ultimate best picture call. All right? Because I'm just that guy.
You are.
We'll start off with the ladies actress in a supporting role. Here are your nominees. Mary J. Blige in Mudbound. I confess I have not seen Mudbound as of yet. Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards Outside of...
No, that's not right.
Tuscaloosa.
That's got to be full on actress. That's not that's lead actress.
I'm sorry. What's wrong with me? I jumped. I misread it. Thank you. So it's Mary J. Blige in Mudbound, Allison Janney in I, Tonya, Leslie Manville in Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer in The Shape of Water.
All right.
Now, Matt, I'm going to tell you who's going to win is Allison Janney and I, Tonya.
Yep.
Who should win is Laurie Metcalf and Lady Bird.
I agree. Although, to be fair, I wouldn't be it's not like Allison Janney is her performance is so terrible that I'm like it's going to be a huge travesty that she doesn't win. I can see why she would win, and she is excellent in it. And she's just Laurie Metcalf is just that so much better that I think that she should win. But it's not a big enough. It's not a big enough performance. I don't think
it's not as showy a performance. That's for damn sure, and that's too bad. That's why Janney's going to win, though Metcalf should win. All right, so go ahead, Matt. Who's the best supporting actor?
Okay, why don't you read off the nominees because I don't have. Oh wait, supporting actor. Yes, I do. I do have them here. Sorry, I'm actually prepared. All right, so we got Willem Dafoe in The Florida Project, Woody Harrelson in 3 Billboards, Richard Jenkins in The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer in All the Money in the World, which I did not see, and Sam Rockwell in 3 Billboards as well. So I'm gonna say that I think I'm a little nervous. I'm going to say Rockwell is going to win, even with some of the stuff that's coming out about him. Might make it a little iffy, but it still seems like he's got the momentum. But even though I haven't seen it, just because you seem to rave about it so much, I'm trusting your gut. I think Willem Dafoe probably should win, although Richard Jenkins would be pretty cool as well if he won as well.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think Sam Rockwell is going to win. I think Willem Dafoe should win. He is the beating, bleeding heart of that film, The Florida Project, and it's just he should be recognized and win that damn award, but he's not gonna. And also Richard Jenkins, I think, is a dark horse on this thing.
Sure,
he has a very sweet, soulful performance in that film, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won. But I think just the character arc that Rockwell goes through, I think, is what's going to push him over the edge, and it is a great performance.
Yeah.
But for me, Dafoe is the better of the group, but unfortunately, he's not going to win.
Sure.
All right, we'll continue with the gentlemen. I'll give you the ladies. Actor in a leading role.
Okay.
Timothée Chalamet, Call Me by Your Name. Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread. Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour. And then Denzel and Roman J. Israel, Esquire. Matt.
Why? Okay.
Your winner, and who should win, is Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour.
Okay.
Where do you come down?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I struggled with this a little bit because, I think it's Daniel Day-Lewis. I could still see him pulling out a kind of a come-from-behind win just because it's supposedly his last film as America's Greatest Living Actor. But at the same time, I think Gary Oldman, there's been just so much hype about it. And it was a good performance. I struggle with it a little bit because the rest of the movie around it is pretty weak. But I think he's definitely going to win, Gary Oldman, and I guess if I'm being honest, he should win as well.
Yeah, it's a Training Day situation for me. It's not as bad a film as Training. Not that Training Day's bad, but it's not half as good as Denzel's performance. Same thing here. Gary Oldman is better than the film he's in, but the film's still good.
Right.
It's just not great, but I think that's excellent. All right, Matt. So, actress in a leading role. What are you telling me?
All right, we got Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie in I, Tonya, Saoirse, we've got it right, Saoirse Ronan in Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep in The Post. So I think Frances McDormand is a lock to win this thing. She's got a big kind of over-the-top performance. It's kind of up and down as far as the different emotions go. It's kind of a showcase for her. So I think she's definitely going to win, although I personally think that Sally Hawkins should win because she puts in such an incredible performance without speaking a single word in this film that I think she ultimately really should win just for the strength of her performance. But McDormand's going to win.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you. I think McDormand is definitely going to win. I still think she should win over Sally Hawkins. But if anybody's close in this, it's Hawkins. Listen, Margot Robbie does a fantastic job in I, Tonya. She truly does, and as does Saoirse Ronan. But if I had to choose two, it's definitely Sally Hawkins and Frances McDormand. I just think McDormand's performance is a little more powerful. Maybe clearly it might be a little more showy.
It's way more showy.
Still, I think in the end, it's just Frances's award to lose. I agree with you.
Okay.
All right, Matt. I'll go then with direction, leaving you with Best Picture.
Sounds good.
So, best, what do they call it now? Achievement in direction, I think.
Outstanding achievement in direction? Okay.
You have Dunkirk, So it would be Christopher Nolan, Get Out, Jordan Peele, Lady Bird, which is Greta Gerwig, Phantom Thread, with our boy P.T. Anderson, and then Shape of Water, good old Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, who should win?
Yeah.
I don't know. I chose Shape of Water.
Yeah.
And I circled, which is who I think should win is Dunkirk.
Okay.
I think what Nolan is able to pull off in that film is just fascinating. There's a lot that he had to do. It's an hour and a half basically, but just a coordination and just technical skill that film illustrates. It's fantastic. So I really think that I think Nolan should win Best Direction for Dunkirk, but I think it's going to be Del Toro for Shape.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be Del Toro. I think he will win, and I think he should win for The Shape of Water. I think just the way everything about that film, as far as the kind of, how everything is shot and the way he sets it all up is just so lyrical, and so much love is put into it, as far as, the attention to detail, as far as, his love of old Hollywood and the period of the time and monster films. It's kind of really like a labor of love. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk is extremely technical in how well it's put together. But it doesn't seem to have that kind of life to me. So I personally would prefer Guillermo to win, and I think he should win.
I think really Nolan's is an achievement in directing.
Oh, really? Well, you know what? It's because I have feelings and you're a cold robot. That's all I can say.
That's fair. That's a fair point. All right. Break it down, Matt.
All right. So Best Picture. Here we go. We got Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, which, as you will recall, Chris called a perfect film, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbings, Missouri. All right, so this one's tough. I think the momentum and the smart money is on Three Billboards. I don't want Three Billboards to win. It's no secret that I'm not a huge fan of that film. I would really love The Shape of Water to win. And I think they have a real shot, but I think it's ultimately going to be Three Billboards.
All right, interesting. So I initially was going to go with that, but I changed my mind to The Shape of Water.
Oh, really?
I think that's what's going to win. Okay. I don't know why. I don't. But I just have this weird feeling that I think Del Toro is going to pull it off, and it's going to win Best Picture. I think it's magical enough. This modern day fairy tale. It's a gorgeous film with some really earnest, heartwarming performances, and I don't know. There's something about me that thinks I just think it's Shape of Water will end up pulling it out and winning. Yeah. But here's a surprise, Matt. You know what I think should win?
What's that?
I've thought about this. I actually think Get Out should win.
Okay.
I do. I think the Jordan Peele's statement is so interesting and important and fascinating and funny and terrifying, and it's one of the smartest horror films I've probably ever seen in my entire life. And it is just it's a fantastic little film. And the more I think about it, the more I think, since my favorite film, Blade Runner from last year, is not there, my second favorite film, The Florida Project, is not there. My third favorite, Baby Driver, is not there.
Right.
So I think maybe the Get Out should win out of that group, but I think in the end it'll be Shape of Water.
Yeah. Interesting. So it comes down to Best Picture. Well, and of course we have a bunch of wild guess categories that we can certainly, vacillate on who's the better picker here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to beat you this year.
I don't know if you went through it, but I did pick everything, so I'll just run down what I got, and if you did, tell me. So animated feature film, I'm going with Coco.
Yep, me too.
Cinematography, I went with Blade Runner.
Me too.
Costume design, Phantom Thread.
Yep.
Jesus. Documentary feature, Faces and Places.
Let's see. Doc. I did it. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, yeah. Faces and Places. Yeah. Faces, Places.
Short subject documentary, I went with Heroin.
Yep.
Man, we got to get some kind of different dynamic on this damn show. Film editing, I went with Dunkirk. How about you for film editing? You got something for me?
Film editing. I got Dunkirk.
Jesus. Foreign language. I went with The Square.
Foreign language. I went with A Fantastic Woman.
Ooh, all right. Something a little different. Makeup and hairstyling. I went with Darkest Hour.
Yes, definitely. That's a lock.
Original score. I went Phantom Thread. I think I'm going to lose this one, but I went with Phantom Thread.
I went with Shape of Water for best score.
All right. Original song. I went with Mystery of Love from Call Me By Your Name.
I went with Remember Me by Coco.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'm going to lose that one. Best picture we did. Production design. Blade Runner. Actually, no, I chose Shape of Water as what's going to win, but I think Blade Runner should. But what do you got for production design?
Yes, I put Shape of Water as going to.
All right. Animated short film. I chose Dear Basketball.
I didn't pick one for that. Oops, I missed one.
I'm assuming you would do Low, the Pixar film in front of Coco.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll do Low.
Live action short film. I went to Cowbell Elementary.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with My Nephew Emmett.
Okay. Sound editing. I went with Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Sound mixing. I went with Baby Driver.
Ooh, I went with Dunkirk for sound mixing.
Visual effects. Blade Runner.
Yes, I went with Blade Runner as well.
Adapted screenplay. For me, Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Call Me By Your Name, but I want it to be Logan really bad, just because it's. Right. But I want it to be Logan, but it's not going to be.
And finally, original screenplay. I chose Get Out.
Yes, Get Out for sure.
Not a lot of differences there.
There's not
race this year.
No.
But put your money on me, as the Arcade Fire song would go. So, all right, Matt, that's our Oscar picks. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear what your picks are. Tell me, how right am I? I know I'm going to be close.
You're going to be close. We're both going to be close since we basically have 80% of the same picks. So
I know. All right, that's good. So anyway, coming up next week, Matt, let's talk about it. It's going to be either Red Sparrow or Death Wish, maybe both. We'll see. We got to figure that out. There's a lot of stuff that just hit Netflix too. We want to talk about lots and lots of cool stuff. And then coming up after that, what's that voice you like so much? Okay, Matt, here we go. Or Wrinkle in Time. I'm going to see A Wrinkle in Time. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
Mrs. wants to see it.
Okay.
Though I'm not sure if it's going to be around here. The Death of Stalin is finally getting its U.S. release, which I think must be a must-see for us.
Okay.
So, all right. That's going to be the big show for this week. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll, and you will find us. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com, and check out the old website, thefirstrun.com.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, let's go ahead and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon. Hic Menibus Optim!
Let's stop there. You know what? I woke up this morning thinking about a public execution. I did. I really did. But for now, I'll settle for this sweet little, who's going to get him first?